Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going squarely behind the curtain to uncover something truly massive. We're looking at the trillion-dollar blueprint for global infrastructure and mega project execution. If you've ever looked at a rapidly transforming city and wondered about the hidden financial architecture holding the whole shebang up, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's start with the ultimate question of scale. When you see massive digital grids powering entirely new tech hubs, or vast, shiny new metro lines cutting right through dense urban landscapes, how exactly is that level of nation-building capital mobilized? I mean, trillions of dollars are needed globally for this stuff. It doesn't just appear out of thin air, right? It requires a highly engineered, deeply strategic approach to finance that, honestly, most people never get to see. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the trillion-dollar blueprint, then move into structuring sovereign capital, followed by the execution roadmap. After that, we'll look at infrastructure in action, and finally wrap up with the future of capital. Okay, let's dive right into part one, the trillion-dollar blueprint. To really grasp the space, we first have to define what sovereign-scale capital actually means. And look, we aren't talking about standard corporate loans here. Think of it less like a quick mortgage and way more like financing the construction of an entire city grid from scratch. We're talking about the massive, patient funding required for true generational investments. Things like ESG infrastructure and massive green mobility expansion. Unlocking this? Well, it requires accessing patient, long-tenure funding institutions across the globe, because they're the only ones with the absolute capacity to wait out the long development cycles of these massive nation-building opportunities. And this is exactly where Finnowell Tech Solutions comes into play. They act as the crucial bridge in this massive ecosystem by combining institutional investment banking expertise with incredibly sharp technology-driven execution. Their entire philosophy boils down to being built for inevitable closure. By leveraging banking-grade expertise, way faster diligence, tight government connectivity, and complete end-to-end execution capability, they make sure these complex financial structures don't just, sit on paper, but actually cross the finish line. Because behind every successful mega mandate is a really robust leadership ecosystem. You can't just have good finance. You need regulatory excellence, meticulous internal controls, strategic advisory, and a serious cross-border synergy framework. Global execution fundamentally demands international collaboration. It's about bridging pure financial structuring with precise global legal execution, ensuring all the pieces fit together perfectly. Which brings us to our next major piece, Section 2, Structuring Sovereign Capital. Mobilizing global pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and those massive infrastructure investors demands absolute precision. The need for institutional trust is met by incredibly strong governance, which really forms the absolute backbone here, combining strict compliance systems with a solid risk architecture. Then, global execution is achieved through cross-border synergy, safely bridging international money with local legal frameworks. And finally, unified value is accomplished through an engagement model that perfectly aligns long-term advisory with performance-linked execution. It's all just beautifully interconnected. Now, traditional borrowing often acts like a heavy anchor. It brings higher costs and a lot of structural rigidity to these massive projects. But there's an alternative, and it's called the hybrid capital waterfall mechanism. Imagine capital literally flowing downward logically, layer by layer, matching risk to the exact right investor. This optimized funding structure actively lowers borrowing costs while simultaneously building far stronger investor confidence. It's a real win-win, engineered through highly intelligent financial structuring. Moving right along to Section 3, the execution roadmap. Every single successful mandate out there relies on a highly disciplined, step-by-step roadmap designed for that inevitable closure we talked about earlier. It flows completely seamlessly. It starts with deep diagnostics to understand the project's real viability, moves to market sounding to test the waters and see which global investors actually bite, proceeds to formal sanctioning, relies on absolutely airtight documentation, and finally culminates in closure. Skipping a step? Yeah, that simply isn't an option at the sovereign scale. Let's see what this actually looks like in the real world with Section 4, Infrastructure in Action. First up is the MMRDA blueprint. This is a perfect example of taking things from pure concept to hard execution. It demonstrates exactly how massive infrastructure coordination transforms the daily transit of literally millions of people. It turns the abstract high-level concept of sovereign capital into the very concrete reality of your morning commute. Next, we have the APU-IML mandate. This showcases the vital importance of strategic market diagnostics, targeted capital sourcing, and really smart partnership structuring. When you're dealing with state-led infrastructure growth, you are essentially marrying government objectives with private and institutional capital. And let me tell you, that requires immense finesse and incredibly precise partnership structuring to actually work. Finally, we see this methodology working at an incredible scale in Telangana. Here, we're looking at a truly transformative vision. Sovereign wealth and institutional funding are actively being integrated to fuel major infrastructure-led economic expansion. This isn't just about building things, it's about engineering an entire regional economy for future acceleration. To visualize that, they use what's called the Telangana Infrastructure Wheel. This framework maps out the specific sectors driving this expansion. We're talking about expansive digital grids, massive mobility corridors, and highly targeted future economic acceleration sectors. The funding methodology we've been discussing today is the exact fuel powering this wheel. And that leads us to our final stop, Section 5, the future of capital. Finnowell's platform isn't just sitting still. It's built explicitly for scalable expansion. They're aiming this highly structured methodology directly at 4 key pillars: broad infrastructure, massive real estate developments, strengthening financial institutions, and empowering MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises that actually form the true bedrock of growing economies around the world. The big takeaway here is that Finnowell is far more than just a standard advisory firm. It's a dedicated capital execution platform. Its entire engineering purpose is to completely de-risk these massive financial structures so they can actually deliver on these mega project visions. Whether it's governance, cross-border legal synergy, or the hybrid capital waterfall, it all serves one ultimate goal: de-risking the vision so the capital can flow safely, smoothly, and efficiently. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to chew on today. The future truly belongs to those who can structure, mobilize, and execute capital at a sovereign scale. As global challenges demand larger, faster, and much more sustainable megaprojects, who will really own the future of our global expansion? Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible structures that are literally building our world.